Hey, it's Chris. So I couldn't contain it all in one video. I went back to look and I said, retail games are really coming on strong between now and the end of the year, right? And we talk about crowdfunding all the time, but retail is really sort of the flying under the radar market lately because crowdfunding gets all of the hype, it gets all of the excitement, it gets all of the announcements, it gets all of the bling, and people are just throwing money, triple digits everywhere, right? But there are some seriously good contenders of games at a retail side of things also coming out between now and the end of the year. And if you missed part one, I will link it above right here, right now. But if you want to know 10 more games that, again, depending on your interest, depending on your variety, depending on what you're looking for, games that you should know about. Let's take a look at a few more to whet your appetite. Let's do this. Yep, do the YouTube thing, this and a little bit of this and whatever it is. But we're starting here. We're starting with Direwolf. Direwolf is putting out the second expansion for Dune Imperium. This is Immortality, where you're getting a combination of genetics, splicing, grafting cards together, as well as spies. The spy who doomed me. Anyway, so this is what we're going to see. Is it going to live up to the Rise of Ix? Is it going to add more? Is it going to add more of a good thing? Is it going to be too much? Incorporating one big box expansion, relatively good sized, is very easy nowadays. We see a lot of that. We see a lot of games that even, potentially split off what could be considered part of the core crux of a game in order to make the price point more affordable. But now the question is, with a second expansion, how does that work? Especially when you're utilizing pretty much everything in an expansion along with it. You're not just like making it a modular expansion. So that's going to be the real question of, is it going to work well with Ix? Is it going to work well if you don't get the first expansion? What is the dynamic going to be? Is there going to be a drastic preference? Is it going to be that much more complicated? Is it going to make the game length too long? Because that's part of the great part of Dune is it doesn't feel like it's a lot of other worker placement games where it is maybe overstaying its welcome. I know that's probably blasphemy to some of you, but I can't just not say it either. So that's why this is number one on the list, because even as an expansion, it can't be discounted. Now, number two, I sort of covered this with the other video, but I'm going to go a little bit again here because FFG, I said Mutant Genesis last time, right? I said Mutant Genesis. However, if you missed this, now we have actually 4 hero packs announced. The 4th hero pack was just recently announced within the last week, and it's having now a combination of your core, kind of, X-Men from the original, right? You got Cyclops, you got Wolverine, you got Storm. Where's Iceman? Where's Beast? Where are we going to see those? But, we kind of have a Jean Grey. It's Phoenix, but it's still Jean Grey, right? Unless you're deep into the comics, that's a whole nother conversation. Then it gets a little bit splicey dicey, if you know what I'm saying. But that has to be mentioned. Wolverine, freaking awesome. I just hope that, Storm and Wolverine right now, from the details we know, look really, really unique. Cyclops is always the redheaded stepchild in these games and in these, comics even. Like he's always kind of, he's kind of Cyclops. He kind of, hum-ho, Boy Scout, Marshal. Anyway, give him as cool of stuff as you're giving the other characters, please. Because Phoenix is going to be freaking awesome because it's the Phoenix. But that's why this whole set in this wave is number 2. Number 3. This is going to be a departure. Some of you are going to poo-poo this. Some of you are not going to like this, but some of you are going to understand where I'm going. Splendor Duel. Now, a lot of people like Splendor. A lot of people bash Splendor. Bashing Splendor has become, kind of, a gateway into the hobby, right? You bash Catan, you bash Munchkin, you bash Monopoly, you bash Splendor then, right? It's a great game to get people interested, because it really gets people thinking of things that they maybe haven't done before in a game when they're looking at it. But this is more if you want to, bash Splendor, which I won't. I own it. I have played Splendor about 200 times. My kids love it. It's a great game to get kids interested in, especially counting and colors. It masquerades itself as an engine builder. It's not. It's a race. And so this is going to give you more nuance. The rumors, the appeal of this one is that there's going to be more strategy. There's going to be less of just a pure race, more strategic nature of how you're going to be accomplishing the things you need to accomplish. Not only with just buying the cards as you're used to, but a grid-based system as well. And that's why it's intriguing, because the problem with Splendor as well is it doesn't really play well with 2 people, right? And 3 and 4 people, it gets really chaotic. 2 people, you can get whatever you want. 3 and 4 players, you're not getting anything you want. And so herein lies the solution. And that's why it's on the short list of games that I think you should really have your eye on, because that it's really trying to step out of its predecessor's shadow and do something different. It's not just an exact copy of a slightly more streamlined two-player version of Splendor. No, this is Splendor. I almost wish that they had gone by another name to get away from it, but it's going to get more recognition because it's under the name of Splendor. But it should be on your thoughts and your wish list if you're like me. Hear me out. Again, give it a chance. So, what's number 4? Number 4, again, we're not going very far here. We're going with potentially, I'm going to label this, the most interesting Clank in Clank history. Clank's big enough history. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of them out already, right? With like 3 or 4 expansions. Now, this, though, is going to be more fantasy-based. This is going to be also more modular. Portals are going to transport you. Ghosts are going to haunt you. This one's going to be different. Comes with its own dungeon deck, also compatible with those previously mentioned expansions. This is how I look at something like even the upcoming Tainted Grail, the upcoming, any of those sequel expansions, right? Where they have fine-tuned it to the point where they've ironed out a lot of criticisms. They're making things unique. They're making things different enough that it's a good enough stepping stone to get in just at that point, but it also has backwards compatibility for those that have supported the product in the past. So that's kind of a cool point, especially as someone who's never played Clank. Okay, you've got me intrigued, especially with the fantasy. I like fantasy. So that is very appealing to me. That's why it's already on the list at number 4 here. Number 5, we're going to go a slight departure here. You've never heard of this game. This is Virtu. I don't know what's going on in this game. This is some sort of rondel mechanism type game that has people really excited. This is a game set in the Italian Renaissance, referring to Machiavelli and that ilk. You are an Italian city trying to optimize the best that you can. You are going to be having a rondel, a wheel type mechanism with asymmetric cards from a powerful Italian family to start off the game. By utilizing these cards, it's going to open up various actions to you, but you are also going to be able to acquire more cards that are going to change your ability to have different sequences of actions in the first place. We know next to nothing about how this game actually plays. There's no English iteration version of it at all at this point. It's all French. Not just French to me, French to you and everybody else as well. If you go over to Super Meeple's website even, they have a rule book, but again, it's all in French. So this one looks absolutely amazing. I don't really know enough about it, and I don't think anyone else does, to slot it, appropriately at this point in terms of how good and what is this actually going to look like. But it's super tempting. It's combining a lot of tableau, actions, mechanistic approaches, including some sort of rondel at least. That seems kind of cool. And so I could see this having a high ceiling, but also maybe not, because we're going to see what more details are once we finally get this translated. So that's why it's sort of in the middle on this list, number 5, because I could see it very much going either way. Number 6. This one's going to be slightly different as well. This is a departure. This is a K3, Kilimanjaro. This is an abstract game, in case that's not clear by the picture, right? You're going to be slowly taking these pieces and planting them on the bottom, trying to accumulate pieces as you go up higher and higher and higher. But there are going to be very certain specific placement rules that you're going to have to adhere to in the first place. And so that is really kind of the aspect of things that I've yet to see. Okay, what are the exact details of that? How replayable is this going to be? You've got lots of colors. This is a 2 to 4 player game, so clearly you have to be manipulating or playing more than one color at the same time. As an abstract lover, this looks like something very, 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 very up in my wheelhouse. And so there's not a lot of wide availability for it yet. And so I can't wait to see what it actually looks like when we get to have a little bit more hands-on. That's why it's on the list. Now, next up, we have a very interesting test of the market as well, Summoner Wars. In case you missed it, Summoner Wars, one of the preeminent 1 versus 1 dueling games that ever come out on the board game tabletop scene. The second edition is not only exceeding expectations, I would dare say it has the potential to surpass the original. It's already in the 500s on Board Game Geek, even though it's been out for like a year or so. And we are now seeing expansion after expansion. So this is very similar to earlier in the video where I'm talking about FFG and Marvel Champions and expansions there, because we're seeing now expansions like the Eternal Council as well as the Fungal Dwarves. Yeah, Fungal Dwarves, right? Right? Ever cycling and ever present decaying and growing creatures at your disposal. Does that sound good? Or, you know, are you more of a scholar, a magi, and you're trying to cycle through your library, your event cards, and your deck in order to teach your opponent a lesson quicker than they can do the same to you? And if that wasn't enough, I mean, these are literally out like as we speak in the very near future. If you go over the page here, you can also see that there are 2 more expansions already announced. The Sand Goblins, I don't know, Chaos, Goblins, you know, vehicle upgrades, that sounds crazy. And then also Obsidian Dwarves, another Dwarven one. So I don't know what that means, man. Enraged in combat, fiery weapons forged in HE double hockey sticks. This is cool. They're putting out cool stuff. They're putting out unique stuff. They're reinventing it in a cool way. And you got to support that too. We see all the time the stuff, 2-player dueling on crowdfunding. This is one that is a mainstay. This is one that is proven. So go support it. Plaid Hat Games putting out a quality product right here. Next up, we're going to go a little different as well. We're going to go Cat in the Box Deluxe Edition, because Cat in the Box, a quantum trick-taking game for 2 to 5 players where, you know, the card type or the color that you're putting down hasn't been decided until you actually play it. So does that intrigue you? You know, trick-taking games are not everyone's appealing mechanic, but the crew has opened up a lot of people to that style. I mean, I am a homegrown Michigan boy, so euchre, hearts, spades, they are, you know, stuff I grew up with. And so trick-taking to me is secondhand. But for a lot of people, it's not. And I've heard a lot of people saying that they've experienced this at like some of the major conventions recently, because it's just now coming to retail, wider retail, if you will, that this is opening a lot more people's eyes to what this mechanism can do and how it's different and how it can be just a lot of fun. And that's what we're talking about, right? Is a lot of fun. Trick taking at 2 players though? Okay, show me. Show me what you got, Cat in the Box. Haha. Maybe? Yeah, I think so. So what else we got? We got 2 more here. What else we got here? We got 2 more here. One is 3,000 Scoundrels, and 3,000 Scoundrels is coming out, and this is going to be coming from Unexpected Games, and it's a combination of sort of like BS and poker, if you will, where you're playing these cards down and you play cards that match certain values, and you're going to have a mat in front of you essentially in the board game, and it's going to tell you, like, if you play this card, you're going to get this abilities, or this actions, and it's going to allow you to score different points. You're going to be creating card combos, sort of like the AEG, you know, translucent cards. When you combine them together, it's sort of doing that, and you combine 2 of these scoundrel attributes together to make a scoundrel, and so that's where the name comes, 3,000 Scoundrels, because you can make a ton of different scoundrels that are never going to be the same each game. It just looks kind of cool. Now it's going to be chaotic, it's going to be lying, it's going to be bluffing, it's going to be a little bit of take that. There's some elimination in terms of just, you know, if you get called out on your bluff and you're bluffing, I mean, it's really going to hurt you, it says. So, you know, just be aware that this might be a little bit more of a rough and tumble roller coaster type of game as opposed to a pure strategy game. So that's why it's appealing though to me, because Liege loves chaos. I love chaos in the game. I love chaos for the sake of chaos. I love causing chaos. I am one of those people. Yeah, I am. You know, raise my hand, you know, chaos support group. Anyway, but that's why Unexpected Games is going to have that out between now and the end of the year, and we're going to see what they can do. Now, last up, we're going to go some completely other direction, just like in the other video. The last one is actually going to be more of a crowdfunding game that's going to be coming to retail, hopefully by the end of the year, and that's because backers are supposed to get it in November, and this is Blazon from 25th Century Games. This is one I came very, very close to backing on crowdfunding, but I definitely have my retail eye open for this. This is a set collection, hand management, drafting style game where you're going to be having basically 1 of 2 actions in every single turn, and you're going to be trying to get pieces of your armament, pieces of your shield, your embodiment of the clan that you are a part of, and trying to make it in a set collection style of manner. Sound kind of cool? Yeah, it does sound kind of cool. It sounds like the next step up from this style of game. So I think this has sleeper hit written all over it, and that's why I wanted to throw it out there, because this is going to fly under a lot of people's radars, because it wasn't like a break the bank style of game on crowdfunding, right? But it did reasonably well. And so that is why I think at the retail side of things, you just need to have your eye open on it. There you go. 10 games. Quick talk. Everything you kind of need to know. There you go. Wasn't kidding. 10 more games that you should have your eye on at the retail side of things between now and the end of the year. Any of those catch your eye? What do you think? This video, the first video, how do you compare them? Which has more of your interest? Because again, I go across platforms, I go across mechanics, I go across themes, I go everywhere because I just am an omni gamer. I love games. I love talking about them. I love playing them. I love being a part of this. And if you're like me, you know what? Let me know what you think of these. Which list did you find more appealing? First one, second one. Which one of these are more appealing to you or not? I mean, this is the discussion that I like to have. So tell me what else I'm missing, because these are the ones that caught my eye, but obviously there's a lot of games that come out. So let me know what you think. As always, that's all I got. Do the YouTube thing, click blah, 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 blah. And if you liked it, there's more where that came from. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. See you around.